Welcome back to Business 110. We're going to try to walk through Chapter 3 real quick on globalization. First, some terms. Imports are products that you buy from another country. Exports are products that you sell. Free trade is the ability to have unrestricted movement of goods. I'm going to skip these two and go balance of trade is just the difference between exports and inputs. So if I'm importing more than what I export, it's called a trade deficit, and just the opposite. If I export more than I import, it's a trade surplus. Absolute and comparative advantage are economic terms. Absolute is where I'm better at somebody, absolutely at something, and comparative is comparative to other tasks, I'm better. Let's move along. So, a couple ways companies can go global, and some are more risky and some all the way up to higher risk, depending upon basically how much investment or equity I'm putting in. Licensing, very low risk. I just allow someone else to sell my product. I can export my product. I can franchise like McDonald's does. I can do some contract manufacturing. Flextronics is a good example. You can do a joint venture. That's where you partner with somebody else. You can do what's called a strategic alliance. And the most risky and the highest investment, and as we've learned, potentially with the highest reward, if you're taking the risk, is a big foreign direct investment. That's where I would buy a plant in a foreign country, for example. So lots of ways you can go internationally. Strategies you can do. Some from the very least risky, where I just license somebody to sell my product, to the foreign direct investment where I actually making a full-flown investment in another country. Now, there are some reasons, things that make foreign investment more tricky or more complicated. First of all, I have the social cultural. Different cultures, different countries have different cultures, so that can be a problem. Typical example was when Walmart went into China and sold frozen fish. In China, they expect fish to be fresh, alive, killed in front of them. Secondly, there could be economic issues. Some countries are poor. We'll see in a minute. India may not sell a lot of cars in India. The average income's a couple $1,000s a year. There might be legal regulations, different laws. And there might be physical problems. There might just be very little infrastructure. There might be no roads in the countries, etc., etc. So those are some of the problems that you have going internationally. So in addition to that, let's talk about how countries might protect their markets. They might have some sort of protectionism. They might impose what are called tariffs, which is basically a tax, which says anything comes into our country is tax. They might put in place a quota limiting the number of, for example, the U.S. might put a quota that only 50,000 cars can come from Japan. They might put in a full embargo, a complete ban. We ban goods from China, from Cuba, perhaps. And then there's all sorts of agreements to allow free trade, like NAFTA and the North America Free Trade Agreement, etc. To give you an example of how this works, I want to give you a quick case study. Here are 4 countries, or 5 countries, including the United States. Here's the growth rate of their gross domestic product. Here's their population. And here's how many cars per 1,000 people, eligible people, that country has. Look at like an India and a China. Look at the size of the potential market. Huge populations, substantial growth rate, economic growth rate, and very little affordability of cars. Huge untapped market when you compare it to the United States. That's one of the key reasons people are going globally. So, quick overview, balance of trade, key ways to go global, some of the challenges, protectionism. Hope this quick overview, this is in the exam prep tools, helps. Have a good week.